Oh, okay. So, what's going on, guys? I'm back. I've been getting a lot of, demand from you guys to make another video. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been very hesitant to make a new video. And the reason for that is I have been going through a lot of issues, and part of that is hormonal, and then part of it is I just recently went through a breakup. A really bad one at that. And I'm going to talk about how my hormonal levels affected my relationship. I'm not going to go through the whole relationship. We were together for about a year. But essentially, I'm going to talk about what transpired in the last month or two. And bear with me, I am having a bit of a low estrogen moment. My current dose of testosterone, for anybody who's wondering, is I'm actually on 100 milligrams per week of testosterone propionate, and I take that in every other day injections. As far as aromatase inhibitors, I'm taking it on an as-needed basis. As far as how well that's been working for me, it's been doing pretty well, to be honest with you. And the reason I like testosterone propionate, which I'm going to make a separate video for that, is you have more direct control over the fluctuations in your hormones, right? So first of all, obviously, when you are doing daily or everyday injections, your peaks and valleys are going to be much more steady and much more flat, and that provides more of a homeostasis for your body to work with. And the other reason I like testosterone propionate is because when you start to have hormonal issues, whether it's low or high estrogen, you can correct it much easier with propionate. And the reason for that is, say you have low estrogen, a dose of testosterone propionate will be released into the body much quicker because it has the propionate ester on it, which I believe has around a 4 to 5 day half-life, versus cypionate, which is much longer. So usually I'll feel the propionate within a few hours, versus a cypionate will usually probably take about 5 to 6 hours before I start to really feel it kick in. So I made that transition about 6 months ago. The only issue with propionate is it's not typically prescribed by medical practitioners anymore. They typically stick to the cypionate or enanthate. So I actually had to find a compound pharmacy to make it for me, custom make it for me, which insurance wouldn't cover. And I'll get into a whole other video about that and the benefits and disadvantages of propionate. So what happened was, I have no idea, to be honest with you. And I'm going to leave this video raw for you guys so you can kind of see, I am going through a bit of a bout of low estrogen right now. I got my bloods done recently. My testosterone was around 750, and then my estrogen was under 8, which is not where you want to be. For some reason, when I'll go through these bouts, sometimes I am resistant, my body's resistant to bringing its estrogen back up, even with the introduction of HCG or extra testosterone. But I'm going to get to the story as to why I even made this video in the first place, and that is, me and my girlfriend, we have always had a very, very good relationship. But when I have these bouts of low estrogen, I've usually been able to correct them with HCG, large doses of HCG. And essentially what happened was, there was a time of infidelity in our relationship, which caused me to be more insecure. My low estrogen symptoms simply intensified the issues of the insecurities and the paranoia. I was constantly nagging her, wondering where she was. And there's nothing more unattractive to a woman than a man with no confidence. And that was me. I was a man with no confidence. And At first she sympathized because I explained to her, I said, listen, my feelings are a little intensified right now because I am going through a moment of lower estrogen. And one thing I am going to mention in another video is low estrogen can lead to reduced dopamine levels. And reduced dopamine levels is the #1 cause of schizophrenia. Okay, so let's do the math here. You're essentially inducing temporary schizophrenia on yourself if you keep it low enough and for long enough. There's also been studies released of essentially they removed the ovaries from monkeys, and the monkeys that were reduced to hyper low estrogen levels actually had a reduction of dopamine receptors by 30%. Past 30 days, if they didn't reintroduce that estrogen, those dopamine receptors were permanently destroyed. Now, the study never really went beyond that, but back to my story. Essentially, these issues and insecurities became so intense that I, out of my own paranoia and insecurities, broke it off with her. I felt like my hands were tied, because as I became worse and worse and worse, she started to distance herself. And I took that as an attack on me, or as her trying to leave me, or as her potentially cheating on me. So I actually pulled myself away from her. And that just provided her the opportunity to completely leave me. But the point of the story is it's so important for you to keep your hormones in check, because this was a woman that I thought I was going to marry at one point, and now she's no longer in my life simply because I'm struggling with these issues, right? And I've gotten to a point where my regimen has been, pretty effective for me. But this is just an example where I can have one bad incident that can lead to a month of misery for me and everyone around me. So the next video I'm going to post probably in the next day or two is about, we're going to start from the base, and we're going to start about what's most important for you getting on, the right regimen, and that is, utilizing and finding the right doctor. From this video, you can see that my speech is my vocabulary and the fluidity of my speaking is slightly impaired. I'm going to talk about that in another video, and how estrogen affects dopamine, and then how dopamine affects your ability to concentrate, eat, sleep, process thoughts, memory, the ability to speak. So we'll get into that. But I just wanted to put this video up apologizing to any of my subscribers that have been asking me to put out more content. Keep pressuring me, because the only reason I'm up here doing this right now is because you guys keep telling me to put out more content. So keep pressuring me. Like and subscribe and share. I'm going to go ahead and record this next video, and I'll get it out soon. Thanks, guys.